All right, let's do this. Deep dive time, and today we're tackling SBI. You've given us a mountain of stuff, annual reports, bits from calls, really the whole picture. Feels like we're about to peek inside one of India's biggest financial players, you know?
Yeah, and the scale of it really hits you preparing for this. I mean, they're doing everything, basic banking to stuff I bet most people haven't even heard of.
Oh, absolutely. Even just prepping, I was struck by how much they're pushing tech. Yono especially, that seems to be their baby, and they're taking it global, not just India. And another thing, sustainability. Huge E theme for them, not just talk. They've got whole financing frameworks for green projects.
Makes sense, right? India's economy is going that way. They want to be a part of it. But before we get too far ahead, we got to do the basics. What is SBI really? How do they make money? What are the pieces of this giant?
Right, got to break it down before we build it back up. Lay it on me. What are the key business segments?
All right, so the reports lay out four main areas. First one, treasury operations, and this is where it gets a little Wall Streety, even though it's India. Investments, foreign exchange, derivatives, that kind of stuff.
So they're not just lending money, they're playing the markets too, making money off money, so to speak.
Exactly. It's income beyond just giving out loans, a way to leverage what they have. Then there's the corporate and wholesale banking. That's where the big money comes in. Huge loans to companies, managing their complicated transactions, that whole world.
Got it. So we've got SBI managing their money and SBI dealing with the giants of industry. What about us regular folks, though? Where do ye fit in this picture?
That's retail banking, your bread and butter SBI, the one most people know. Deposits, loans, everyday stuff, that's this segment.
Right, and can't forget, India's economy, a huge chunk of it, is small and medium enterprises, the SMEs. SBI's got to be big in that space too, right? Can't just be the mega corp, not the little guys.
Absolutely. Huge segment for them, SME banking. Their annual report, they're proud of this, call themselves a pioneer and market leader. Over 2 million SME customers, that's a lot of businesses relying on SBI.
2 million. That's more people than some countries? That's wild. And they're not just doing it the old way, they're talking up all the tech they're using to make it smooth. Digital offerings, process improvements, that kind of language, you know?
Oh, yeah. And it's not just staying within India either. SBI is going global. They're pushing Yono and the US, UK, Canada, even Bahrain I saw mentioned. They're even making products specifically for Indians moving abroad, like some Namaste UK account.
So not your grandpa's bank anymore, huh? It's really this sprawling thing, branches everywhere.
Exactly. They want to be the bank for Indians, no matter where they are in the world. But to really grasp where SBI fits in, we got to zoom out, look at the whole industry, right? What's the outlook for banking in India? What are they up against? What's working in their favor?
Okay, zoom us out then. What's the big picture, the landscape SBI is operating in?
Well, from the reports, it seems like India's economy overall, it's growing. ASCB credit growth, that's a key metric. It's at 20.2%, way higher than the year before.
Okay, pause right there. ASCB credit growth. What does that actually mean for someone listening who's not an economist?
Basically, businesses are borrowing more money. They're confident enough to invest. That's good for banks, means more loans they can give out, SBI included.
Yeah.
But Hootie, it's not all sunshine and roses, even with growth. Deposits are up too, but there's pressure, interest rates are rising, and liquidity is tight.
All right, so even in a good economy, there's complications. For someone like me, just trying to manage my money, what does that translate to?
Might be harder to get a personal loan, that sort of thing, stricter approvals, or flip side, you might see your savings account actually give you a bit more interest. Things shift.
So it's all connected. Even stuff happening at the national level impacts my wallet in the end.
Exactly. Ripple effect. And you got to remember, SBI isn't just any bank. They're so big, how they do often reflects how the whole Indian banking sector is doing.
Like the canary in the coal mine, if SBI is healthy, everyone breathes a sigh of relief.
Pretty much, yeah. Their performance is that important. So we've got a handle on how SBI works, what pieces they're made of, and we've got an idea of the environment they're in, the good and the bad. Now, the fun part, looking forward, what does SBI want to be? Where are they headed?
All right, crystal ball time. Give us SBI's future business outlook. What should we be watching for?
Okay, so picking up where we left off, let's talk about SBI and tech, because it's everywhere in their reports. I mean, it's clear they're not just dipping their toes, they're diving headfirst into the digital world.
Yeah, it's beyond just having a website or an app. They're talking about really transforming how banking works.
Exactly. Using tech to streamline their own stuff, make things better for customers, even manage risk. It's a lot.
And the big name, the one they keep coming back to, is Yono, right? That's their baby.
More than just an app, they want it to be the financial platform. Do everything through Yono. That's the goal.
And taking it global, like we talked about, not just for Indians in India anymore.
Aggressive expansion. Yeah, domestic and international. They're betting big on Yono. That's clear.
And they're already working on the next T version, even more personalized, even smarter.
Hyper-personalization. That's the buzzword now, right? Using your data to make the experience just for you.
Makes sense. They've got tons of data. Might as well use it to make things smoother, right?
Yeah.
So Yono's the flagship, but they're doing other tech stuff too, right? Some of it sounded like sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. They're dabbling in blockchain, AI, even the Internet of Things, gotta mention.
Wow, that's next level stuff. What are they even doing with that?
Honestly, it's a bit beyond me, but the gist is make things more efficient, tighter security, new products we can't even imagine yet.
So building the bank of the future, very cool. But all this tech, what about the people?
That's crucial. And SBI gets it. Their reports talk a lot about employee training, making sure their staff are up to speed.
Can't have all this fancy tech and nobody knows how to use it, right? Disaster waiting to happen.
Exactly. And they're also big on diversity and inclusion, making sure the workforce reflects their customer base.
Which is good, right? More perspectives, better solutions, everybody wins.
Yep. So it's not just the tech itself, it's the people behind it. That's part of the story too.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about sustainability, because that was a big theme in what we read. And it wasn't just fluffy language. They're actually doing stuff.
Right.
Not just talking the talk.
Definitely not. They're taking it seriously. Environmental, social, governance, all of it. They're putting their money where their mouth is, financing projects that are green, socially responsible, that kind of thing.
And internally, too, reducing their impact, energy efficiency, renewables, walking the walk.
And it aligns with India's own goals, right? Green economy, they want to be at the forefront of that.
So for customers who care about that stuff, SBI is making a statement, you can bank ethically, basically.
Exactly. It's a selling point, especially with younger generations. They're paying attention to this.
Now, we got to talk about their global ambitions, because they're not shy about wanting to be big worldwide.
International expansion is a core part of their strategy. They want to be a global financial powerhouse, not just an Indian one.
Yono going global, we touched on that, but what else are they doing to make that happen?
More branches overseas, products tailored to Indians living abroad, cross-border lending, all sorts of stuff.
So not just one strategy, they're attacking it from all angles. Really going for it.
Smart, right. Different markets, different needs, got to be adaptable. But all this growth, all this ambition comes with risk, right? They can't just ignore that.
Right. The bigger you get, the harder you fall, as they say.
Well, they're aware of that, and they're talking up their risk management. Cybersecurity, data privacy, making sure they're playing by the rules, all that's important.
And the global economy's a mess. They got to be ready for anything.
Exactly. Got to be flexible, adaptable. That's their approach. Manage the risks while still pushing forward.
So it's a balancing act, and it seems like they're doing a decent job so far. We've learned a lot about SBI, how they operate, their goals, the good and the bad. But there's one piece missing, the part that really tells the story. The numbers.
Right. We can talk strategy all day, but ultimately it comes down to financial performance.
That's where we see if the talk translates into results, if they're walking the walk, financially speaking.
And that's where we're headed next, part 3, diving into the financials. Get ready for some number crunching.
Okay, deep breath, time to face the music, the numbers. SBI's financials. This is where we see if their big plans actually translate into, well, success.
Yeah, the rubber hits the road, so to speak.
I always get a little nervous for this part, gotta be honest. It's like the test, do they actually do what they said they would?
Understandable, but don't worry, we'll break it down. First off, how does SBI even make money? What are the revenue streams?
Right, gotta start with the basics.
So big chunk is interest income. That's what they get from lending money, loans, and such. Then there's fee income, all the services, transaction fees, account stuff, commissions on things.
Okay, so classic banking, lending money and providing services. Makes sense.
Yeah, but remember, scale is huge EE here. SBI is not your local credit union. Small percentages for them are big money. For example, net interest income, that's the difference between what they earn on loans and pay on deposits. Last year, over 350 billion rupees, just from that.
Wow. Okay, see, this is why I get nervous. Numbers that big make my head spin. But income's only half the equation, right? What about the costs? Running a bank can't be cheap.
Definitely not, and SBI's got a lot of costs. Biggest one is employee compensation. Makes sense, they've got a massive workforce. Then there's all the operating expenses, rent, utilities, tech stuff, all that adds up. And they also got to set aside money for potential loan losses, what they call provisions.
So it's this constant juggling act: maximize income, control costs, and NED prepare for things going wrong.
Exactly. Plus, they've got regulators breathing down their neck, capital requirements to meet, competition all around.
High stakes game for sure.
Yeah.
But bottom line, are they profitable? Is SBI making money?
Yes, they are. Net profit, that's after all the expenses, provisions, everything. Last year, over 31 billion rupees. Not too shabby.
That's a lot of rupees, but I notice it's lower than the year before. Is that a red flag?
Worth keeping an eye on for sure. Few things squeezing their profits, interest rates going up, competition getting fiercer. Gotta set aside more for those potential losses. But knees, they're not sitting idle. They're trying to be more efficient, expand where they can, manage risks better.
So proactive, tackling the problems head on. That's good to hear.
And remember, SBI is not just about profit. They're a public sector bank. They've got a responsibility to India. Financial inclusion, helping small businesses, supporting development, that's part of their mission.
So profits and purpose. Got to balance those. Tricky but important.
Exactly. And SBI seems to be doing a decent job of it, all things considered.
Well, this has been quite the journey, our deep dive into SBI. From their business segments to their global ambitions, the tech they're using, their commitment to sustainability, and of course, the financials, how they're actually performing, the good and the not so good.
Yeah, complex organization for sure, but fascinating to peek behind the curtain.
SBI is clearly a major player shaping India's financial landscape and likely to stay that way.
No doubt about it. They're one to watch.
Huge thanks to expert speaker for guiding us through this. Your insights were invaluable.
My pleasure. Always happy to nerd out about finance, especially a giant like SBI.
And to you, our listener, thanks for sticking with us. Hope you learned something new today. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.